How can the marketing department say, our business is unbelievable, we have so much, we can't deal with it? And the salespeople be like, it's hard, it's a struggle day by day. Those two things can't exist at the same time. Shed some light on that for us, Brooke.
Yeah, that's where you have a disconnect in what matters.
That's right.
As we kind of mentioned earlier, there's this opportunity to have a huge volume of leads. There's leads coming in, forms are getting filled out, people are coming to the website, you're getting all these impressions, and then they're getting over to the sales team and nothing's closing. So where's that disconnect? Is it that the volume is too high that the sales team doesn't have time? Maybe not.
Unlikely.
Maybe not.
Unlikely.
Right. The chances are that we're getting just a lot of maybe not quite ready, not quite qualified, not quite the best leads that we could be getting for our sales teams.
So perhaps we need to adjust the lead scoring system then.
Exactly. So if you've got...
He can be taught.
Right? If you've got a bunch of leads, though, that are coming in, one of my favorites is always someone fills out a content form. They come to the website the very first time, fill out a content form, and the phone rings 2 minutes later.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I haven't even read your piece yet.
Right.
Like, I know nothing about your company.
Well, thanks for downloading our white paper.
Yeah. But when the phone rings 2 minutes later, now it's not even just, while I understand how it works, it's just kind of creepy. Like, can I have a minute to read it and find out if I want to know more about you? And so often we see those leads become unqualified, return to marketing, go back to a nurture. But we've kind of started off on the wrong foot by being too aggressive out the gate. And leveraging something like lead scoring, we give people an opportunity to demonstrate their own interest, pair that against some demographic and firmographic information for qualification. But then when we pass people over to sales, we can say, hey, this person's been on our site a couple of times. Here are some of the things that they've done, and here's some info about them. Now we can engage in a conversation with that person without getting too creepy and saying, hey, I see you were on our website 5 times in the last 3 minutes, and you've read this paper and this paper. What'd you think? A little creepy. But we know they have a bit more brand awareness about what we do, that we know we can see from some of the pages that they've been on or the content that they've interacted with, that we can use to engage in conversation. Hey, we recently released this content that talks a little bit about this, and here's a statistic from it. Have you heard about that?
I think that's a good way to do it. It's a contextual thing, I think. I have a friend, John Barrows, who will often say marketing is content and sales is context. And I think that's a great way for those departments to work together. So to your point, I love when I see lots of steps being taken by somebody before I begin my outreach process. In a lot of ways, I think I engage outside of the inbox if they're engaged with the content in the inbox. So let's talk about the inbox for a minute, because email automation is a really sensitive subject in a lot of circles, especially in sales. A lot of folks like myself are hyper-personalized writers. I really don't like automating emails if I don't have to. I'd much prefer to write them by hand, look at the data that's presented to me, and write to them in context. Do you think that because for the last, let's say, 10 years, marketing automation has grown leaps and bounds in its sophistication, that people are hypersensitive and very in tune to what an automated email looks like, so they naturally turn away from them?
I think it's a good question, and I think a lot of that comes down to how the organization handles that. That was one thing in my previous organization we tried to be really cognizant of. Our sales team felt the same way. They wanted that personal relationship. And so anytime we would send an automated email, particularly if it was designed to look like it was from a sales team member, we actually had them help write that. With the types of greetings they would use, the types of closings that they would use, their signatures.
Sort of controlling.
Like a all the best or best regards or however they might talk to their customers. Yeah. But it still gave them a little bit of a voice in the conversation. So that it was automated, but they also had personal, and then we could bring in some little things from there to kind of tie that together. It wasn't the same script for every person, from every salesperson. It was different.
I think that that's folly. I would always suggest to sales teams to be diverse in what they're sending. I think too many of us are using templates that are pretty generic. I have had instances where I've handwritten emails, but someone would reach back out and say, take me out of your queue.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me that could happen, but the automation and the personalization behind the automation has gotten so sophisticated that in some cases there are apps out there that will scan social media accounts and have pre-written scripts there pop up and say, "Yeah, I saw you went skiing last weekend. I'd love to talk more about where you guys ski. I love skiing too." It's insanity, the things that you can pay for that will automatically do these things for you. And I think that takes away a little bit from the marketing and sales alignment, because marketing is most cases very heavy on automation if they can be, because they're trying to do things in number. And sales is kind of hunt and peck. This is my company. Here's 10 potential decision makers. I've narrowed it down to 5, now 3, now 2, and this is my guy, right? And that, it helps when marketing steps in and says, "Oh, no, you want to look at the following pieces of information that we've provided for you, and you'll see that this is actually your individual. They're engaging with the most content and have the most to contribute to the conversation." So how do we find that comfortable balance between marketing and sales where do you think that data management is the key to that alignment in a big way?
It's certainly a part of it. I think communication between the two groups is key. What matters to the sales team, particularly in organizations where sales makes their money based on, commissions or bonuses. When you start changing up that structure on people, it becomes very mistrustful, because all of a sudden there's the possibility that you're taking food off of their table. And they become mistrustful of any time that there's a change in something, where you're taking away that power and control, because they want to feel like they are the ones in control of their income. And so being able to communicate what's important, how do I help you, is going to be the key in building the baseline for that relationship. Then from there, you can start to move forward and say, okay, how can we work together to help better enable our sales team to have these higher quality conversations, to actually go on and feel empowered to engage in these conversations, to close these deals, to deepen these relationships.
So your suggestion is that more marketers learn to enable their sales team using their data rather than leverage their data to induce action in their prospects.
It's a combination of activities.
Okay.
I mean, if there's if you're always looking at your opportunities, and if you've got people that are sitting at a certain stage in the opportunity, and maybe there's a piece of content that you can use to nudge them along, or you have these leads that have come in that are maybe returned to marketing because they're just not quite ready yet. Maybe it's related to buyer cycle, time of year, that sort of thing. Maybe you can still stay top of mind for those people, nurture them a little bit, get them going, get them ready to pass over to your sales team without shutting that door completely. But those two things have to work together.
Much like marketing and sales in general need to work closer together. What are some tips that you have for folks out there as we wrap this up? Tell me some good top 3 tips from Brooke Bartos on how marketing and sales can work better together that you think are top of the mind today.
Yeah, look at your lead scoring model. Sit down, talk to your sales team. What does your ideal customer look like? What do they do? What's their title? What's their company? What's important to them? And what are they actually hearing in the conversations with those people? Are those people saying, hey, I saw such and such that made me reach out. I read this. I read that. Maybe those aren't notes that those salespeople are putting into Salesforce that you can action on, but maybe it's something that they hear frequently that just happens to come up.
Just stands out.
So have a conversation, take them to coffee, find out what's important to them, what's important to their customers, and be able to take that information back to your lead scoring model.